Hello, and welcome back to People Skills Pro. Have you ever had a great conversation with someone, a moment where you felt a real spark, only to feel like the moment you part ways, the connection evaporates into thin air? You're left wondering, did I make any real impression? Does she even remember my name? It's a frustrating feeling to be forgettable. In a world of endless distractions, fleeting interactions, and constant noise, simply being nice or funny isn't enough to stand out. What if there was a way to bridge the gap between your interactions? A way to not only make a great impression in the moment, but to plant a seed in her mind that continues to grow long after you've said goodbye? There is, and it's a powerful psychological principle used by the world's best storytellers, advertisers, and Hollywood screenwriters to keep millions of people hooked. It's not about manipulation, cheap tricks, or playing games. It's about understanding the fundamental wiring of the human brain. Specifically, its deep, insatiable craving for completion. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into one simple but profound psychological trick that, when used correctly and ethically, can make her think about you non-stop. We'll explore the science behind it, break down the exact techniques step by step, and give you practical examples you can use tonight. Prepare to learn how to create positive intrigue, build powerful anticipation, and become absolutely unforgettable. The unforgettable impression, a deep dive into the Zeigarnik Effect. The psychological key we're unlocking today is called the Zeigarnik Effect. It was discovered in the 1920s by a brilliant Lithuanian Soviet psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik. The origin story itself is fascinating. Zeigarnik was sitting in a busy Vienna restaurant with her professor, Kurt Lewin, when she noticed something peculiar about the waiters. They had a flawless, almost superhuman ability to remember complex food and drink orders for multiple tables, all without writing anything down. Yet the moment the bill was paid and the order was complete, they could barely remember what the patrons had ordered just minutes before. This sparked an idea. Zeigarnik went back to her lab and conducted a series of experiments. She gave subjects a set of simple puzzles and tasks. Some of the subjects were allowed to complete their tasks, while others were intentionally interrupted halfway through. Later, when asked which tasks they remembered most vividly, the results were overwhelming. The subjects were twice as likely to remember the tasks they hadn't finished. The principle was clear. People remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks far better than completed tasks. Your brain is a closure-seeking machine. When it's presented with a puzzle, a story, or a task, it allocates mental resources to it. If the task is completed, the brain checks it off, gets a small hit of dopamine, and moves on. But if the task is left incomplete, it creates a state of cognitive tension. It's a cognitive itch or an open loop that your mind feels compelled to scratch. It will keep replaying the incomplete information, dedicating background processing power to figuring out the ending. You see this everywhere in modern culture. It's the engine that drives binge watching. Every episode of a great series ends on a cliffhanger, an unresolved chord, an open loop. What's in the box? Will they escape? Who was on the other end of that phone call? You click Next Episode, not just because you're enjoying the show, but because your brain needs to close the loop. When you learn to apply this to your conversations, you can create the same powerful effect. You create a positive, intriguing open loop in her mind that becomes directly associated with you. She'll find herself thinking about you later, not because you were just another nice guy, but because you started a fascinating story that her brain needs to hear the end of. An important note on ethics: the good versus the bad cliffhanger. Before we go any further, we must draw a clear, bright line. This is not about playing manipulative games, being emotionally unavailable, ghosting, or creating anxiety. Those are negative open loops that destroy trust and reveal poor character. A bad cliffhanger: promising to call and then not calling. This creates an open loop of anxiety and disrespect. She's left wondering, did I do something wrong? Is he not interested? A good cliffhanger: hinting at a funny, adventurous story and promising to tell her the rest later. This creates a positive anticipation and playful intrigue. She's left wondering, I can't wait to hear what happened with that monkey. That sounds hilarious. The goal is to create positive anticipation and playful intrigue. It's the difference between a fun movie trailer that makes you excited for opening night and a friend who constantly promises to help you move but never shows up. One is exciting, the other is frustrating and disrespectful. Always use these techniques to add value and fun to the interaction, never to toy with emotions. How to use the Zeigarnik Effect. 3 core techniques. Here are 3 practical, step-by-step ways to apply this principle to your interactions. 1. The open-loop story. This is the most direct and powerful way to use the Zeigarnik Effect. Instead of telling a story from start to finish, you intentionally and playfully leave it unfinished at a high point. Step 1. Choose the right story. The story must be genuinely interesting, true to your life, and have a clear, exciting peak. It could be adventurous, funny, or mysterious. Examples: the time I accidentally ended up on stage at a concert, the story of how I got my dog, or the most ridiculous thing that happened to me while traveling. Step 2. The hook. Introduce the story naturally. It should be relevant to the current conversation. For example, if she mentions travel, you can say, "Speaking of travel, that reminds me of the craziest thing that happened when I was in Thailand." Step 3. The bait. Give her just enough to get her emotionally invested. Paint a picture. Don't rush. So, I'm in this crowded marketplace in Bangkok. The air is thick with the smell of spices and street food, and I'm trying to buy a souvenir. I reach for my wallet, and then I pat my pocket. My passport is gone. My heart just drops into my stomach. Step 4. The cliffhanger. Build to the most exciting or mysterious part of the story. I'm in a full-blown panic. I look up and I swear this is true. I see this little monkey sitting on a corrugated tin roof and it's holding my passport, flipping through the pages like it's reading a novel. Step 5. The cutoff. This is the crucial moment. Just as she's leaning in, desperate to know what happens next, you interrupt the story yourself. Her: "Oh my God, no way! What did you do?" You smile. Well, that's when the monk gets involved, and it gets really crazy. But you know what? I just realized the time. It's a long story, and I've actually got to run. I promise I will tell you the rest of it next time. But trust me, the ending is worth it. Step 6. Closing the loop, the payoff. This is non-negotiable. The next time you talk or see her, you must remember to close the loop. You can even use it as a fun callback. A text later could say, "Still haven't forgotten about the monkey and the monk story. We need to connect soon so I can finish it." When you do tell her the end, you're not just telling a story. You're rewarding her curiosity, proving you're a man of your word, and building a foundation of trust. 2. The future adventure seed. This technique applies the open-loop principle to future plans. It transforms a boring, logical date request into an exciting co-created adventure. The psychology. Humans are drawn to novelty and shared experiences. Instead of just asking for a date, which is a closed yes-no question, you're creating a small, intriguing narrative about a future plan that you can both look forward to. The formula: specific, intriguing activity plus element of mystery or exclusivity equals an unforgettable date idea. Example 1. The foodie. Weak or closed loop. Hey, do you want to get Italian food on Friday? Strong or open loop. I just read about this tiny, family-owned Italian place that doesn't have a menu. The chef just comes to your table, asks you a few questions, and then creates a unique dish for you based on your conversation. We have to try it sometime. Example 2. The drink connoisseur. Weak or closed loop. Want to grab drinks? Strong or open loop. My friend told me about this hidden speakeasy behind what looks like a laundromat. Apparently, you have to give the bartender a secret password and they'll make you a custom cocktail that's not listed anywhere. We should go on a mission to find it. Why it works. You've created an open loop of curiosity. What will the chef make? What's the password? What's the secret cocktail? She's not just thinking about you. She's co-creating a future story with you in her mind. It shifts the frame from, do I want to see this guy again, to, I want to have that experience. It makes you the curator of cool, unique adventures, which is a highly attractive role. 3. The high note exit. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive but effective technique. It leverages a psychological principle called the peak end rule, which states that people judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its most intense point, the peak, and at its end. Most people let conversations and dates fizzle out. The energy peaks, and then it slowly declines until someone says, "Well, I should probably get going." The end of the experience is remembered as a low-energy, slightly awkward moment. The master communicator does the opposite. How it works? You must become a student of social dynamics. Pay attention to the energy of the interaction. The high note is that perfect moment when you're both laughing uncontrollably at a joke or when you've just shared a moment of genuine connection and she's looking at you with a real spark in her eyes. That is the moment to end it. Example in practice. You're on a first date. You've just told a funny story and you're both laughing. The energy is perfect. The amateur's mistake, he thinks, this is going great. I need to keep it going for another hour. The conversation inevitably hits a lull 30 minutes later and they end on a fizzle. The pro's move, right at the peak of the laughter, he smiles warmly and says, "You know what? On that high note, I'm actually going to get going. I have an early start tomorrow, but this has been an amazing evening. We should absolutely do this again." Why it works? You've just ended the interaction at its peak. Her brain's snapshot of the date is that peak feeling of laughter and connection. You are leaving the interaction emotionally incomplete. She's left wanting more, not feeling like she's had her fill. It communicates that you are a man with a busy, important life, that you are in control of your time, and that you value quality over quantity. It's confident, it's counterintuitive, and it's incredibly effective at making her look forward to the next time. So, the secret to staying on her mind isn't a magic phrase, a clever line, or some kind of dark manipulation. It's a proven psychological principle that governs how we remember things. By using the Zeigarnik Effect ethically and playfully, you can transform a forgettable conversation into an unforgettable one. Let's recap the 3 keys. First, tell an open-loop story to create a fun mental cliffhanger she'll need to have resolved. Second, plant a future adventure seed to build exciting anticipation for your next meeting. And third, master the high note exit to end your interactions at their peak, leaving her wanting more. When you use these techniques with respect, authenticity, and a playful spirit, This isn't a trick. It's the art of being an intriguing, confident, and memorable man. You're not just having a conversation, you're creating a shared story that continues long after you've said goodbye. If you found this deep dive helpful, please do me a favor and click the like button and subscribe to People Skills Pro for more practical advice on building better connections. Thank you for listening.